Hello, this is Mr. Cox, Supercharged Science and Animal Videos. I'm going to talk today about observational science, about different types of observations, quantitative, qualitative, etc. And I have some slides that I made that we'll go through together. This should help some of you, especially in 7th and 8th grade science, first few week of classes, but you could even use it in biology and any of the other classes. First of all, an observation. Notice it's using one of the senses: sight, hearing, smell, taste. You got to be careful with that one when you're dealing with science, that you don't want to get poisoned by something. But if it's something you know that's not harmful, sometimes taste could be an observation. Touch, and to take note of what occurs in your observations, or to measure, to gather scientific data. So that's observations. The next one is the term science itself. This is an investigation and exploration of natural events and of the new information that is derived from the investigations. So sometimes we think of just science in a lab with chemical glassware and things like that, but it's also out in nature and everywhere you go, everything you do all the time. If you're investigating and exploring natural events and the new information that's derived from the investigations, that is a type of science. Description. A description is a spoken or written summary of observations. So after you make your observations, your description, you can either say it orally or you can write it or type it down as a summary of those observations. Explanation. This is an interpretation of your observations. So on the one before this here, we have a description where you summarized it. Then your explanation is your interpretation of that data. So say, for example, that you're doing something like I used to do working as an aquatic biologist. You're sampling fish population. You may weigh and measure the fish, put them back. Sometimes you determine sex, take scale samples on the scaly fishes to determine growth, etc. So after you get all your measurements and you count up how many largemouth bass, how many smallmouth bass, how many bluegills you have, how many green sunfish, how many catfish you have, channel catfish, versus how many yellow bowheads you have, etc., then you can summarize all that, and then you can make an explanation of what the environment around you, what that river's carrying capacity is for at the moment, how many fish of different types or different species it is able to have in it at the time when you're sampling it, whether the fish look like they're eating enough, etc. So, of course, you can use this with any other type of science. Next one, an inference. This is a logical explanation of an observation that is derived from prior knowledge or experience. So you put together the information that you have obtained through your observations, and you compare that with knowledge that you already have on it to make your inference. If I was looking at fish, I'd probably make my inference, at least unless I was on the ocean. Say I was in a river or lake in the Midwest, I would probably make an inference that these fish lived in the water and that they were getting their food out of the water, versus that they were flying around eating insects in the air, because I already know that there aren't flying fish in the rivers and lakes of Indiana, Ohio, etc. Okay, qualitative observation. This is important here to get the difference between qualitative and quantitative. Qualitative, look, it has that word quality in it, the root word. Qualitative observation, or qualitative data, or data. It uses words to describe what is observed. So you're looking more here at adjectives, like the collar. Is it pretty, ugly, big, small, green, blue, red, etc. those are qualitative statements. Or even how it smells. You say it smells bitter, acidy, or if it's something safe to taste, it's bitter, sour, or sweet. Quantitative observations or quantitative data. Notice instead of quality, it has quantity in it. Quantity has to do with a number, how many there are of something. This uses numbers to describe what is observed. This is descriptive adjectives such as, wait a minute, this should not have this. I thought I took this out. It doesn't have the colors, textures. This is only to do with numbers. I need to go back and fix this slide. Let me see if I can do it right here. We're right here. So, yeah, I don't know if it's going to let me edit it right now. I'll go back and fix that. Anyway, here we go. Maybe it's going to. This was on the qualitative slide. I don't want you to get confused. Yeah, it's not going to let me. I'll go back and edit it after I post it. Okay, so quantity has to do with numbers. So if in quantitative, you're looking at how many there is of something, or the number of how long the fish is, how wide the fish, what the girth of it is, how much if you measure clear around it. Qualitative would be something more like, it looks like it's had plenty to eat, it's chubby, or it looks green, or it looks an unusual color, pink, or something like that. If you describe using numbers, then it's quantitative. So on fish, sometimes you would count how many scales it has along its lateral line, how many dorsal fin spines it has, how many dorsal soft rays it has, things like that, or how many barbels it has on it. Those are quantities. So that's my last slide on that. I'll go back and fix this one. Make sure you remember quality has to do with adjectives, like the way things look, smell, taste, feel, appear, etc. Quantitative has to do with numbers. This is Mr. Cox. We'll catch you in another science video. Thank you.